Hey, I'm Ted. Welcome to the Skoolie video. Remember these metal pieces from the top and the back of the bus? Well, today's video is going to show you how I started rebuilding the front. Put in some new speakers. Okay, next phase in the project, I guess. Seems like you get to a point where I don't know what to do next. Like the major critical things I think are done. Like I said, I lived in it all summer. So then you kind of figure out. So I guess I'm just gonna start. I think at the front of the bus and just keep working my way back. I guess so. Order business is the deal with the. I'm gonna call it the Bulkhead. I guess. Ordered some better speakers. I took the original speakers out of the roof of the bus, so ceiling, not the roof, but out of the ceiling, and just got to put some temporary in there so I have something to listen to when I'm working. And a couple the driving trips we've done, they're not good. They don't sound good at all. So ordered some better ones. Not that they're top of the line, but they're a little bit better than those. So those are coming in. Should be here tomorrow. And so I want to put speakers in there, and I want to insulate it. And I think I'm gonna put. I got a bunch of this leftover foam, so I'm going to put in 2 inches of this foam. 2 1-inch pieces equals 2 inches. See me do that math in my head? Very impressive. And so I just sort of piece them in there. And then I got to build some sort of frame. And I think ultimately I'm just going to have this little tiny shelf that goes in the middle. So speaker, and then maybe divided shelves. I don't want to wrestle around with cabinet doors, I guess, just because it's not that much room up there anyway. And maybe a little fence to hold stuff from flying up there. And I don't know what we'll put there. It'd probably be the catch-all for knickknacks, which I'm kind of hoping to avoid, but I don't know. We'll find something to put up there. But even with that, and then add 3/4 of, actually more, add like 1.5 inches between the framing and then the sheathing of that, and you really only got only got a couple inches. Maybe I'll sheath it with some 1/4-inch plywood. Won't look as good, but hopefully be covered up by stuff anyway. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I patchwork some insulation up there, and I'll actually pull the backside up, tape it, and then I'll foam in all around, which is just spray foam. Later on, and so I cut some just 2x6 blocks and ripped them down to fit in here, just to provide sort of a platform to put a shelf on, because it's like 1.5 inches, I don't know, just a little bit less than 1.5 inches. So I put those in. I notched out the bottoms so I have a place to put the wire on the wire through, because this one doesn't fit because the wires behind are pushing out. So I maybe notched that insulation in the back there. I don't know. And then over here, thinking about using some 3/4-inch stuff, just because it doesn't need to be super strong. It's all supported by metal, and I don't want to take up a whole lot of space using 1.5 stock. Maybe bolt something into this little metal support, and then put just a little trim piece. I can just brad nail that to hide up the bolt holes. Maybe this piece goes all the way to the end, and then rather than fit some rigid foam, I got some rock wool insulation. I think I'll just sort of stuff that in, insulate that spot, cover this up, and then some sort of speaker. I don't know. Well, speaker's definitely going to go here and here. But I suppose I could take a piece of plywood and maybe use Craig screws at the bottom of it and screw those into these bolts, so then I can cut the plywood to this shape. Maybe something like that. I was kind of hoping to use a bunch of wood scraps kicking around, because plywood's about $180 a sheet these days. Not that much, but close. And then I haven't figured out really how I'm going to trim this. I got one more rib here, but I really couldn't fit any nailers, any furring strips behind it. So this is great. Any ideas? Nothing? You guys aren't much help. If I had a spatial brain at all, I'd probably be a really good carpenter. I need to look at a picture and say, oh yeah, I can build that. But coming up with how all the little intricate pieces, and then this trim piece is going to go here and around, I don't know. It makes my brain hurt just thinking about it. I'm going to just stare at it for a little bit longer. I'll let you know what I come up with. Alright, I figured I gotta try something. So I got this, this is the forward metal panel is up there that I kept because I'm a pack rat. Not a hoarder, there's a difference. Can actually kind of move in here a little bit, not much. I'm going to get rid of it when the bus is all done, but you never know, and it might come in handy. And so I guess I'm going to trace it on this piece of plywood I'd kick around because I'm a pack rat, not a hoarder. But I think it's going to be useful, and I don't really like the way it looks, the plywood, I guess, but maybe I'll paint that section and give it some accents, perhaps. And is that the decorating term? I'm not a very good decorator person. So I don't know, we'll see. So these are the marks about there where the... I'm just going to trace it. Alright, we've trimmed this down. So you can get up there without scratching the ceiling. Well, what do you think? You paint it, I guess, and maybe Craig jig it into these bottom supports, and then trim piece here to hold it in. That side, bottom shelf, rail, speaker cabinet, probably some sort of, actually, I put these dividers in the shelf too, that'll help hold that in place. To figure out, maybe I can get a bolt some furring strip there and then trim it somehow. So not terrible, I guess. I mean, it fits pretty good. I guess I could Craig jig it from the back into these supports and then drop the whole thing in, and that will at least kind of keep it anchored down this way. And then some sort of support shelf there. Put this trim up there to make it a little holding shelf. The cabinet speakers on each end there, and then some sort of trim piece like that on the side to hold that in. I guess that's my best working theory at this moment. Seems like this whole bus has been a working theory. Alright, so we're pressing on here. Rather than try to mess around with fancy cupboards or whatever here, just took some rock wool insulation and stuffed it in there. And I remember when I first started doing construction stuff, I figured, oh, the more insulation I can get in there, the better. And my mentor, friend, boss, Tim said, don't pack it in there because the more compressed you get, you lose the R value. So just nice and loose. Put it in there and try to fill up all the air spaces, but not stuffing in there too much. Then I took my piece, I cut a notch for the wires. And just gave it a little edge detail here, just routed it to soften it up, cut a little edge in there. And, you know, here it is. It's a piece of, look at the piece of maple. It's just the right width. So I think that's why I didn't have to rip it. So I think that's why I used it. I pre-drilled, excuse me, the holes there. I'm going to use these tapping screws that I put in one pocket. There it is. And we're going to see if they tap right into that support, metal support there. Get in there. I think what I'll do is I'll just cut I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll cut some interesting squares, or I don't know. I'll hide those somehow. Alright, I'm going to make the faces that I'm going to mount the speakers to, the grills on. And then I think once I get the face cut, I think I'm just going to tuck it right up underneath this. I think that will actually work out alright. And then I can build the sides to it. So I got my scribe stick, which is just a little piece of stock there with some holes drilled in it and a point at the end, and then I can stick my Sharpie marker through it. I just cut out the line with my X-Acto knife there, and fits pretty good. It'll tuck up there nicely. So I just got to extend that down to that. I got to figure, I think I'm going to put the shelf in next. I'm going to use the spray foam as a sort of a glue and seal it to get this all into place. Alright, so cut this little shelf to fit in there. Again, more sort of scrap kicking around the shop. More reinforcing my pack run mentality. It's got a couple digs in it where I dug out some nails, but it's going to be sort of hidden in my hat shelf anyway, so I don't really care. It's going to be... And then this panel is going to be where the speaker is going to go. So on top of that. And then I'll trim things there. Ah, wait a second. I forgot to put in my piece of plywood here. All right, hold on a sec. All right, we're making progress here. We got this sort of, I don't know, wing pieces, I guess, over here, and then we got the plywood in the background. I wish it was a little bit. I guess it's pretty rugged there. It's holding in all right. And then sort of bases underneath, just to sort of get up off the wires. And then put that shelf there. I put a piece of trim in here. I probably could make that a little bit lower, but I don't know if I'm gonna. So now I can start putting my, putting the speaker faces, figuring out how those are gonna go. Southern yellow pine. Alright, so I got my template. I'm gonna trace it onto this piece of plywood. And cut it out. Alright, I got my face for the speaker, and I've got to get the hole cut out on it. And the channel, I've made this mistake before. So you get the lip here, you know, the overhang, and then you got to get this shape. So trying to get this shape onto the plywood isn't that easy. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to trace this shape here, and then just kind of measure out from the tabs and the ends, and then connect the dots, and hopefully it's close enough. I don't know, I basically centered it. It's going to be a weird angle because that shelf isn't exactly level anyway, so I don't know whether to wrestle with it or just kind of leave it the way it is. Maybe that experience, kind of the more you try to make it right, the just worse you screw it up. Kind of in that camp. Alright, so actually I should probably trace the holes in there too. That would make it. How does that look? I'm using my Craig jig to cut some pocket holes to the piece that's going to go on the side, and I think I'll just pocket hole it and then screw that to the back of the plywood up the head, and then probably screw the face of this to this and add a piece of trim over to cover up the screws. I think. Alright, over here, we're pretty even from the bottom to the top. But over here, I don't know if it's the wires or whatever, 3 inches down here and 3 5/8 at the top. So we got to cut an uneven piece. So to cut wedge-shaped pieces, I've got this handy-dandy little jig here in my table saw. It allows me to clamp a piece in here and angle it a certain way, and then, like I said, just kind of clamp it down and then run this through the saw. So I put a mark at the one side I need, like the 3 5/8, and then I put a mark down at here at 3, and I check that, move it up there, check, yep, that hits that mark. Set it on the other side, yeah, it comes out of that mark, and that allows me to cut an angle cuts. Let's see if it fits. All right, we'll see how we did. That's pretty darn good, if I say so myself. Perfect.
And it all makes sense to me down by the river.
That's the way life should be, and it all makes sense to me down by the river. Yeah. That's what this bus is all about, right? So to kind of driving it down the rivers to make sense of it, for us anyway. So, yeah, that sounds a lot better. All right, they sound pretty good, actually. I think that's still just a little muddy. I have to tweak the I have to tweak the EQ a little bit to kind of bring down those mids, I think, just to tune it to the bus. Of course, it's going to change it and get more stuff in here, but a lot better than it was. I am gonna, I think, end this video here. I still got some finish this up. Couple different reasons. One, it took me a lot longer to do this because I stood around and stared at it for a lot, and that's just really not that exciting video. And maybe it gives hope. I hope it gives hope out to you guys who think, geez, I'm not sure if I can ever do a bus, because I have the worst spatial brain in the history of the planet. I don't know if you ever took those little tests. I remember taking them in 5th grade, where you had to, like, if you folded this 2-dimensional shape on the dotted lines, you know, which shape would you get? And I got the first one, and after that I was like, I have no idea. Like, manipulating shapes in space is just something I can do. I know 250 songs probably I can sing, and 3 Shakespeare monologues, but try to manipulate shapes, I just can't do it. So trying to figure out how everything would hook together and go around this notch and that new groove, and I don't know. Probably now it's simple. I'd probably do it a lot faster and a lot easier. Probably should have just built these boxes and just slid them right in, but trying to figure out what they'd attach to and trim afterwards, I just couldn't do it. So plus, so that's a big reason I just kind of run out of time. But the second one, I think I got a really kind of creative, interesting idea how to deal with this sort of curved space up there. And that's going to take me a couple days to sort of execute. So we'll come back and we'll work on that a little bit. But the other thing too is I ordered it's getting cold. It's supposed to get snow tonight. So I don't know if you remember last spring, May 9th, we got like a foot of snow here. And here it is October, not even the end of October, and already getting snow again. So I'm not sure what's up with that. But I ordered a diesel heater that's coming in, and it should be here over the weekend. And I won't get to it until Sunday afternoon probably. But I think maybe that process will be putting that diesel heater in, because it's getting chilly out here, and I don't know, I'd rather be warm. So that's it for now. Again, thanks for joining me on the beginning of the Bulkhead here and the speakers. Certainly appreciate you watching and following along the progress. So you know, like, share, subscribe, do all those things you do. And again, appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.